So what were the findings from this study? First, there was more variation from year to year for some teachers than I had expected, since growth is not dependent on ability levels. As we said earlier, all students should be growing. For both indicators, the year after the unofficial growth goal was set saw the greatest amount of growth. The next year there was a drop, and then there was increasing growth over the next 2 years. That was true for both of the growth indicators. And for both indicators, the number of individual teachers who didn't meet the goal decreased from 5 years ago until now, so that now there is only one teacher for each indicator who didn't make the goal. Here are some possible explanations and wonderments. I wonder why perhaps some of the variations in the growth record could have been from the fact that there were clusters of gifted and talented students in some classrooms. And we know that the higher a student achieves initially, the harder it is to meet the growth goal. I wonder if the growth decrease after the unofficial year happened because teachers felt comfortable they could reach it and they could step back a little from the effort that they had made initially. I wondered perhaps why the correlation between the individual and overall growth decreased over the years, and I'm still trying to find some answers to that question. I wonder what happens when a teacher doesn't make the targeted growth goal and there's no district response. Does the teacher try harder the second year for him or herself, or would it have even more impact if someone had a discussion with the teacher when that happens? And what should the school department do to help teachers who have not made the goal for multiple years? Next steps for me are to analyze growth at other grade levels and in other content areas. I'd like to help teachers learn how to predict success on the NWEAs by using formative assessments rather than taking the NWEA in the middle of the year. And I'd like to help teachers learn to give feedback so students know where they are now in relation to where they're going. That's done through the typical growth goal setting, but sometimes that feedback can make a big difference. What does the student need to do to reach their growth goal? So what? The data shows that over time the percentage of students making typical growth and the percentage of overall target achieved has risen. Therefore, I conclude that setting a growth goal was a good initial first step in focusing teachers on what is tested, and that can be found in the document called Descartes, so that the teachers could help assure student familiarity with the concepts and skills that would be tested. This is important to me as well, that when teachers were asked what has had the most impact on growth in your classroom, they said there was a district goal that they were trying to meet, and that they had become more familiar with what is tested, and they teach it in their classroom. So by looking at this data and by hearing the survey responses from the teachers, I believe that setting teacher goals has made a positive impact on student growth in Sanford, and we can see that that belief has the evidence that the data brings with it.